Earlier this evening, Tallahassee's mayor is pushing to limit how long people can speak on issues not on the agenda. Plus, new money could be coming to improve roads and bring more flights to the capital city. Our Julia Miller was at tonight's City Commission meeting and has the details.
Wednesday night's City Commission meeting started off with commissioners voting 3-2 to move forward with limiting unagended speaker time during commission meetings.
The opportunity is to run a more efficient meeting and to maintain a level of decorum, which has been missing.
This decision comes about a month after a commission meeting ended early, following uproar from some people in the audience during unagended speaker time. Mayor John Daley says he wants to bring the meetings back to civility, although some commissioners argue 30 minutes is not enough time for public input.
I agree that civility and decorum are important, and we have seen that play out here. At the same time, I honestly worry that this will make that worse.
You can try to tell us 30 minutes. We are going to win. I just don't think you understand it. If you try to stop us here, we'll go outside and we'll tell you, like, we're going to make our voices heard, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
The commission also approved an air service incentive program Wednesday night. Last year, Blueprint set aside money to help bring new airlines to the community. The program has about $10 million available. The funds can be used to attract new routes, seasonal flights, and improve airport capacity. The goal is to launch flights that eventually become self-sustaining.
Will allow us to move forward and increase the economic impact of the airport, will allow us to increase total passengers at the airport, and will allow us to increase the total cargo at the airport.
Commissioners also approved applying for a grant from the National Safety Council through its Road to Zero program. The grant would help the city of Tallahassee test a system that quickly detects traffic crashes, confirms they happened, and automatically sends real-time travel alerts to drivers.
We have a limited number of cameras we can watch real time in the traffic management center. This will help flag it and to us and say, hey, there's a problem here, and flag it to us faster.
Julia Miller, WCTV Eyewitness.